Hi everyone and welcome to the Sandy Creek Solar Farm Community Engagement Session. We're going to give everyone just a few more minutes to sign in, so bear with us just for a little bit. In the meantime, we'll play a short video from our Wellington Solar Farm. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for this overview of the proposed Sandy Creek Solar Farm. My name is Stephen Archer. I'm Lightsource BP's Development Manager for this project. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land, wherever you may be. We pay respects to the elders, past and present. I'm on Darwin country in the south of Sydney. To everyone listening in from Wiradjuri country, welcome. The purpose of today's session is to introduce the project to you, hear your initial feedback, and answer any questions you may have. For those who are joining us today and those who may be watching the recorded session later, thank you for taking your time to be here. Our agenda topics are on screen to show you what we'll be going to cover. And as you can see, it includes information about Lightsource BP, the company's development principles, a project introduction and overview, information about the planning and development process, our community engagement process and opportunities to get involved, and of course, there's time for Q&A at the end. In terms of our presentation format, today's session consists of a pre-recorded overview covering the topics listed, presented by both myself and Diana Mitchell, Lightsource BP's Principal Environmental Planner. This will be followed by a live Q&A session where representatives from our lead environmental and social consultants, EMM, will be joining us to help answer some questions. Throughout the presentation and the Q&A session, you'll be able to type in any questions you have into the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to provide you with answers. At the end of the session, if we have not got around to answering your question, we'll ensure to get back to you with an answer if you've left your contact details. Alternatively, don't hesitate to reach out via the project email, phone, and we'll get back to you with any answers or further questions you may have. We've also put together a dedicated webpage for this project, which has additional information and will be used as the project progresses through the planning application process. This is the first round of community engagement sessions we'll be running for this project. As part of this round of sessions, we'll also be hosting in-person engagement sessions upcoming on Saturday, the 5th of February in both Dunedoo and Goolgong. Details of these sessions can be found on the project website. We also intend to run a second round of engagement sessions later on in the year, which will provide more details on the project, as well as another opportunity for you to ask and raise questions and concerns. At Lightsource BP, we firmly believe that renewable energy is the key to addressing the dual challenge of creating more energy while reducing emissions and combating climate change. For over a decade, we've been committed to making sure that all of our projects are designed and developed to support and sustain rural businesses and the rural communities well into the future. Our teams have extensive experience in planning, community engagement, and land management. While we've developed over 200 projects across the globe, here in Australia, we currently have 3 projects under construction, the most progressed of which is the Wellington Solar Farm here in New South Wales. Lightsource BP is absolutely focused on being a responsible solar developer. This figure summarises our sustainability commitments to make solar energy the natural choice, to achieve net zero emissions, and while doing so, create positive social impact across our whole value chain. We champion the rural economy by ensuring these projects promote the local supply chain to truly become homegrown energy assets that communities can be proud of. We achieve this by canvassing the local business community to ensure we support local businesses to the fullest extent, setting local employment quotas for our contractors, and providing community benefit funds through partnerships with local organisations. We're committed to making sure that the projects are designed as dual-use operations where possible. An example of this can be seen at Wellington Solar Farm over in Wellington, where we have 1,200 sheep, currently grazing amongst the rows and panels. The site is being fitted with cattle grids, livestock fencing, and sheep yards to allow for permanent livestock operations. The Sandy Creek Solar Farm will be designed with agriculture in mind, and we anticipate that over 1,500 sheep will graze on site once the solar farm is operational. This achieves 2 things. Firstly, it ensures that land retains an agricultural use and provides additional opportunities for the rural community. Secondly, it helps us manage pasture growth and reduces the bushfire risk. Supporting the rural economy and boosting biodiversity are key priorities for us in the design of our solar farms. The following video provides an overview of how our solar farms retain agriculture and boost local biodiversity. The proposed Sandy Creek Solar Farm is located on 1,600 hectares of privately owned land, approximately 25 k's southwest of Dunedoo and about 30 kilometres northwest of Goolgong. It borders the Dubbo Regional Council and the Warrumbungle Shire Council, LGAs. The project would consist of an 840 megawatt solar farm and battery energy storage system, as well as associated infrastructure. It will connect to the proposed Central West Orana Renewable Energy Zone. This line is scheduled to be installed and operational around 2024. The main access to the site is proposed to be from the north of Spring Ridge Road and the Golden Highway. These routes have been surveyed for other projects in the past and will be surveyed for the benefit of this project later on this year. Here are some key facts and figures about the project. During the construction period, we anticipate the project would provide about 500 full-time equivalent jobs, including electrical trades personnel, machinery operators, riggers, and labourers. Each year, the Sandy Creek Solar Farm will produce enough power to power over 250,000 homes. And at its peak, it will supply 6% of the average New South Wales electricity demand. About 1.4 million panels will be installed across the site, and the project will avoid some 1.4 million tonnes of CO2 emissions each year. The land was specifically chosen for this project because of its proximity to the proposed CWO RES transmission line and the generally flat profile and largely cleared tract of land that exists today. The project is designed to house a battery on site, allowing daytime renewable energy to be shifted to the nighttime peak. The project is being designed for dual land use, and we intend to continue extensive sheep grazing across the site during the operational phase of the project, supported by livestock fences and sheep yards. Together, with the wide spacing between the panel rows and the high pasture growth rate we see below the panels, we expect to maintain livestock rates of around 60 to 70% of the current levels. I'll now hand over to our Principal Environmental Planner, Diana Mitchell, who will talk through the planning application process and discuss the environmental and social assessment, which will be undertaken as part of the EIS, the Environmental Impact Statement. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. As mentioned earlier, this is the first round of community engagement sessions we'll be running for this project, as we are still in the early stages of the planning process. The project will be assessed under the New South Wales State Significant Development Assessment process under Part 4 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act. As the project may potentially impact threatened species and ecological communities listed under the Commonwealth Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act, it will also be referred to the Commonwealth Department of Agriculture, Water and Environment. If considered to be a controlled action by the Commonwealth, we will pursue a bilateral assessment with New South Wales. The project is currently in its scoping phase, which includes preliminary environmental and social assessments that are being undertaken by EMM. Key matters that have been raised in the preliminary environmental assessments to date include land use, visual, traffic and transport, and cumulative impacts associated with the other proposed renewable energy zone projects. We plan to lodge these preliminary assessments with a request for Secretary's environmental assessment requirements with the New South Wales Department of Planning, Industry and Environment by mid this year. Following receipt of the environmental assessment requirements, EMM will undertake a number of detailed specialist investigations as part of the environmental impact statement for the project, including land use, visual amenity, noise, and traffic and transport, to name a few. We intend to lodge the environmental impact statement with the department towards the end of the year. As part of the environmental impact statement process, we'll be undertaking a social impact assessment in line with the department's social impact assessment guidelines. The intent of the social impact assessment is to address matters important to the community. In order to do so, we are keen to understand your views, issues, interests, and concerns in relation to the project. Your views are important to the project's planning, design, and assessment, and the team looks forward to your involvement and participation. Our aim during the current scoping phase of the project is to introduce the project and gather your early feedback. We've established a project website, hotline, and project email address where you can get in touch with us, and we're keen to understand how you would like to be involved and engaged on this project moving forward. In addition to these community engagement sessions, we are currently hosting project briefings with key government agencies, holding personal meetings and interviews, and conducting feedback surveys. We intend to run a second round of engagement sessions later in the year during the preparation of the environmental impact statement, which will provide more detail on the project and also provide you with another opportunity to ask questions and raise concerns. Community engagement is a vital part of all our projects, and as safety is one of our core values, we have adjusted our process for COVID-19 and are offering both this virtual event and in-person events this upcoming Saturday, February 5th in Dunedoo and Goulgong, details of which can be found on the project website. We understand that not everyone will be able to attend one of these sessions, so if you know of anyone who is unable to attend but would like to speak with us, please pass on our contact details, which can be found on the project website or in the information leaflet sent to your home. We will now go live to the Q&A session with myself, Stephen, and the team from EMM, where you can ask questions by typing them into the Q&A box. At the end of the session, if we cannot get to your question, we will ensure to get back to you with an answer if you have provided us with your contact details. Alternatively, please don't hesitate to reach out via the project email or phone line, and we will get back to you with answers to any further questions you may have. Thank you for listening.